Person. Hey Danielle, I was just talking about you, and I'm going to finish because this is actually my memory of you when we were lecturing together. Was that Danielle was the person who would come in with more work done than everybody else, with loads of ideas as to how to shake things up and do things differently and work harder and be more productive, and just literally a whirlwind of energy. And that is my memory of Danielle. Oh, here she is again with her ideas. And it looks like you're at it again, and it looks like you are changing the game and upping the bar yet again. Danielle, do you want to tell people who you are and what you do?
Yeah, sure. And thanks so much for remembering me in such a fond way.
It's good and bad. I always felt slightly underachieving in your company.
God, not at all. I am a graphic designer by trade, working in design for over 20 years. But I've worked in education for a number of years as well, and then more into strategic design projects in the last few years. And I've served as a design juror and the board of directors for the IDI, the Institute of Designers.
Okay.
So that's kind of my background, really. And I suppose I am now the founder of Bounce. And Bounce is a community-driven initiative, and it celebrates collaboration, experimentation, and creative process. And I suppose it kind of focuses around three strands, which are the live events. And then we have expert workshops as well, and then a design challenge. But it is a real melting pot of disciplines. It's where there's a true interdisciplinary nature to it. So the first event happened in January in Trinity,
Hmm.
and it happened over 2 days. It was workshops on the first day, and then there was speakers and talks and panel discussions on the second day. And there was a huge amount of different speakers brought together. So from strategic design to motion design, typographic design, AI engineers, audiovisual
Okay. So when
artists.
you say community, what community are you talking about? Is it design in general?
It's design, but it's the creative community. It's really where, you know yourself, no creative or designer just works in isolation. They have to
No.
connect the other parts of the design journey. But
Hmm.
we're hearing that all the time, that we're all, we're collaborating and it's transdisciplinary. But then you go to events that are very much one type.
Siloed. Mm.
Yeah. So this is really to try and break that mold and try and bring the design disciplines together to actually start to speak a little bit more and to understand and respect what each other does, because there's a huge amount of difference between the disciplines, but there's a huge common ground as well.
So why did you set it up? And like failure not being a possibility when you close your eyes in 5 years, what do you want Bounce to have achieved?
Um, I think like why I set it up was because particularly after COVID, we all came out of COVID. There was no events, and there was a very
Mm.
limited amount of things to go to, and everything, because we got so used to things being online, everything was put online, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so we're at this kind of point where we can access, all the great talks, all the great speakers online, all their content, all the award-winning work, and all the polished portfolios. But
Mm.
I kind of really that doesn't really interest me. And I was kind of like, well, where's the messy middle bit? Where's the bit where the misfires, the failures, and how we kind of got to those particular projects? And a lot of the big designers, the bigger name designers are on a speaker circuit. They're going around the world and they are incredible and they've got a great legacy, but we've heard it before.
We have.
You
Yeah.
know, it's really about trying to give a platform to people who we don't hear from and maybe think, oh, I shouldn't be on stage, but actually they're doing something really, really interesting. And I really wanted to kind of understand and have a moment where we talk about that messy middle bit. And we kind of, I suppose that was the starting point of Bounce. But where I see it in 5 years and success, is really up to the community, because at the first event in January, at the end of the day, I just said to everyone, look, I don't know if this needs to be an event. Does it need to be something else? What is it that
Mm.
you want for your own delight, really? So should it be something else? And I asked and invited people to meet with me afterwards and chat and meet for coffees. I had tons of coffees with different. But really, what kind of came out of that was that people liked the intimacy of it. It was smaller,
How many people?
400 people capacity.
Okay.
theater, yeah. So and we had a bouncy mic that we were throwing around, and you could ask questions of the speaker. So it felt intimate, although it was, international. We had international speakers come over for it
Mm.
as well. Um, but
And what
I
does bounce mean? Like, what? Why the name?
well, I think for me, I suppose bounce was really, the bouncing of ideas. I think designers are really synthesizers of vast amounts of information. They kind of
Mm.
curate lots of information, but we know a lot of things, like, and we actually have to deep dive into, historical information and ethnographic research and demographics, all of that. But we put it all together, and we put it all on the table, and then we kind of, go back and forth and iterate as much as we like. And that's the bit, that right there, that whole thing, that bouncing of ideas, that triggering
Okay.
of thinking, that's
So is
where.
it a free flow? It's a frenetic. It is like you say, messy.
Yeah, exactly. And
Yeah.
then eventually there'll be an outcome, but we don't really know.
Yeah.
We're not
Yeah.
really.
It's like the hand sketching of networking.
Exactly. It's like the nice bit.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's the blue skies. There are no constraints. So when you say people are getting together and they're talking about the process, to what end? Like, what is your goal with Bounce? What are you trying to improve or make better, or do you even know at this point? Is it just a free for all to define that?
Well, I think it's nice to not fully know what it's going to be, so it allows for serendipity to occur. I
Mm,
think it has to be a strength of it. But I do think it's a platform for us to start talking about what we do, and the impact that it has. And I
on
think
what? The impact on what?
on so many things. So it could be society, culture, it could be change and changing futures. We have a huge amount of massive problems coming down the line, from housing,
Okay.
like that. So if we get together and we start talking about all of these things, and talking about how we work and how we could work together and how we could solve problems,
Can you
that
give me an example of a problem that you'd love to solve? I mean, I know this will sound grandiose, but
yeah.
just for example, what is
Well,
a problem that you'd love to tackle personally?
first thing, one of the things that came out of Bounce was I launched the design challenge exactly because of this. And
Mm,
people had to apply to the open call. They came in, and we have 12 designers now working on a project for Drury Street. So Drury Street is a contested public space. It's
yeah.
it needs an evolution, a revolution, really. And I want to show through
You're
this
not happy with just pubs, no?
no, pubs are
We need at least a sauna and a cold tub.
what we're doing is looking at different ways in which we can actually use that street for all the people that need to
Okay.
be that street, and the stakeholders. And the intention there is to create a case study that is actually a way in which we can have a dialogue with anyone outside of the creative sphere, because we talk to ourselves, we pat each other on the backs for great,
Mm.
and we talk our own lingo, but outside of that we're very poor at
We're
communicating
in
what.
isolation with theorists. Yeah.
If we can say, well, okay, this has been a common problem for people around Drury Street. Now, here is a case study on, on what we've come up with. Here are ways in which we could maybe tackle problems like this using problem solving
And what
activities.
problems did you identify actually as a group? This is a really interesting case study because you could
Yeah,
basically apply this to anything.
exactly. But this is the thing: there's contested public spaces everywhere because of COVID. We were all told to get outside, and then we were
Yeah.
told it's fine now, get back inside. And then some streets became pedestrianised, which Drury Street did. And it's a
Mm,
beautiful sun trap. It's a fantastic street. It has
mm.
only independent shops on it, but actually there's a little bit of antisocial behaviour going on because it's a great place to congregate, and there's not any public facilities, there's no
Yeah.
amenity toilets and things like that. So it's actually, it needs kind of some management in terms of, like, how do we use the street, how do we respect the people that want to maybe, eat here, that's fine, or maybe
Make a
walk
living. Make a living. The
here, have
traders. Yeah.
here, and how do they all coalesce? And that's what we're,
Mm,
because actually if we can do that, we can lift a framework of how that could happen and apply it in the context of any other city that's having something similar happen to it, and lots
okay.
of bar. So that's one of the things that when I talk about impact, that's
Okay.
the rubber hits the road, because we're talking
Yeah.
about actually seeing design in practice.
So this isn't about blue sky thinking, theorizing. This is about identifying problems and as a collective
Yeah,
proposing solutions. Is that right?
exactly.
So is
And
there a place for all of us in it? Like our interior designers,
Yeah.
Do we have a place in it?
You all have a place, especially like
Yay.
designers and architects, like, for this particular challenge, and there are other challenges planned which will tackle different issues, but
Mm,
I think all the voices in the room need to be heard, and architects bring a huge a lot of value to this type of thing, because and so do people who are completely removed, and the open call
yes.
actually look for people who are not in the design space at all, and we have people with very varied backgrounds who are just coming in, giving their point of view, and actually working together with some designers, and then working with a Playful City who have partnered for this design challenge with Bounce.
A
And
playful city, is that what you called it?
they're
That's a
lead they're
great
leading
name.
through the project. So I mean, we're looking to come up with some incredible ideas, and, like, as you say, it's not blue sky thinking, it's things that can actually be put into place and applicable, and make things in that space a little bit better. But the more voices around the table, the better, and certainly the intermingling of the disciplines is where it's at, I think.
But do you find, how do the different disciplines approach design and problem solving? Is it different depending on the discipline, or is there a similar thread?
There's definitely a similar thread from, like, the kind of research side of things, and then the understanding and the empathy, because I think all designers, no matter what discipline, are empaths, really, and really understanding that
Mm,
you design for someone. You're not designing for nobody. You have someone in mind. So I think that point of view is always the same, but the particular disciplines have very specific expertise which work wonderfully together. So, a communication solution can be brought on top of a project from maybe a brand designer or a graphic designer, where materials and sustainability kind of guidelines and perspectives will actually come in with a whole different set of criteria,
yeah.
problems and parameters. And then we have, like, someone from education might come in, and someone that is looking at inclusivity or abilities and disabilities might come in with a whole different set of
Wow.
problems. And if you actually can genuinely and authentically bring those people together, that's where the
And
power
how
of,
do you do that, Danielle? Is that you? Are you pulling together all of those, what could be a long list of problems? That
yeah.
could be a huge long list of problems, and it could be deflating. Is that you bringing the energy to
I
pull out the?
I feel like I'm the puppeteer of this,
Okay,
like,
yeah.
I'm asking because we're always saying,
Mm.
and I wholeheartedly believe that the Irish design community, people right now, right here, have the power and the ability and the skill set to be phenomenal and to do phenomenal things. So it's really about that open call, saying, hey, right, I'm putting the call out there. We need some help. We need to look at this, and we need to kind of showcase and kind of tell that story a little bit better. So,
So the open call for what? What are you looking for? People listening now might be interior designers, architects, painters and decorators, cabinet makers.
yeah.
What do you want them to do?
Well, the open call for the design challenge is kind of up and running at the moment, but the open call
So
that is,
like the Drury Street, the next Drury Street.
but
So what problems would you like to solve? It doesn't have to be a place, right?
it's not problems that I create, or it's people. There's a number of people that have come to me saying, I'd love some design thinking and some problem solving done around an issue that I see. What do you
Okay,
So it's about kind of that dialogue,
gotcha.
and it's not to go in and solve a business communication challenge for someone just for the sake of it. It's to solve,
Okay,
gives back, and showcases again back to people on the street how design can help and change. So that's really what the design challenge is.
okay.
And
Sorry for sounding a little obtuse. I'm just, what I really wanted to understand is, because there's an awful lot of talk.
mm,
And what I'd really love to achieve out of this is that there were some concrete actions by individuals that can
yeah,
escalate this, I guess, to
yeah,
to broaden it.
yeah.
And then for you, like, there's an awful lot of energy required from you to be this puppeteer. Where do you get your design inspiration from, or your inspiration generally? Is it art, music, your
Yeah,
kids?
my kids, yeah, give me inspiration. I think I think like a lot of designers, I think travel is one of the greatest gifts that you can have, and if you're in a position
Mm,
to, fantastic. And I always find inspiration when I travel, and it's not necessarily because I'm traveling. It's because I have time.
Yeah.
And that's the greatest gift to give yourself. If you have time to go for a run, clear your head, that's where your creativity kind of happens, or my creativity certainly happens.
Mm.
And travel allows that to happen because you're kind of more relaxed, you're more receptive to seeing the things that are probably in front of you at home anyway. But I think that certainly is one of the things. But I'm a real chatterbox, and I love people, and people really energize me, so I really love talking to people about how they work, their process, what they do, how they think. So I do love to kind of engage with people. That really fills my cup.
So
um,
you're actually in the perfect job. So it's not draining for you to be pulling these people together. It's
no,
it's it's energizing.
it is absolutely energizing. Yeah, yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Right. And where do you? What's the aesthetic of bounce? Does bounce have an aesthetic? Does it have a feeling or a vibe to it? Do you think?
It has a very directness. It's very playful, and it's very direct. And I think it's very almost, it's quite human as well. I think that was really important when we were putting together the brand for it, and Language Studio, thankfully, did a fantastic job putting the brand together there. And it really had to be playful and had to almost kind of make people go, "What is this? Well, what is this about?"
Yeah,
Actually didn't, when it was being put together and it was being pushed into the world, I didn't really know what it was going to be, so I kind of had to have that
it's an
vagueness to
interesting brief.
it.
Do me a branding logo, but I don't know
I know, exactly.
what it is.
Yeah. And I mean, it had to be kind of something that was going to resonate with the audience, and people were going to see it and go, "Oh, I'm interested." So
Mm.
that really was it. That was the kind of, yeah, that was the vague brief, but I got it.
But actually, it works in your favor, doesn't it? Because to your point earlier, you don't want this to be too narrow. You want people to be free to actually go, "Ooh, what about? Ooh, what about?"
Exactly. And it can change, and like, it's as I said, like, there is an event next year. It's on the 16th of January. Keep your diary open, and the tickets will be going in
Mm.
next month, sometime in
And
September.
who should go?
Anyone who has a curiosity with how creativity can have impact. So, for
Mm.
example, the people that are going to be in the people that are the 12 designers that are in the design challenge, they will complete that particular project, and they're actually going to be on stage talking about
Oh, brilliant!
and how they got on with it. So that will be evidence there that people can actually see. But
And that will have been what, 12 months?
that will 6 months, 6 months
Six
actually,
months. So
6 months.
from conception to presenting of process,
Yeah,
presumably it won't be done by then, but there'll be some progress. You'll
yeah,
be able to show very tangible outputs.
exactly. Yeah, yeah.
That's very cool. That's different. Is there anyone else doing this?
I don't think so. I actually don't think.
No.
I don't think there is, and it's just so the people that can go, like, you would find something to interest you from, if you're in any design field, really. And I think that's the beauty of it, because it's about how problems were solved in by these people who are being brought together, and you
Mm.
learn there. And you're asking about, do different disciplines have different design processes? Yes, but they can always expand on them, and we can always learn from others, and this will really showcase how that happens. So yeah, so that's going to happen in January. So the lineup hasn't been announced yet, because the other open call is for speakers. So
Oh,
speakers can get on stage. They just have to fill in a very short application. And the intention with Bounce is to platform those new voices, people with new perspectives. And it's about trying to find those right voices and bring those together. So it's really trying to kind of get people to respond to the theme that is online this year. And the
and
theme is
what's the theme? Sorry.
the theme is being. Yeah.
Being.
So
Being what?
So it breaks into three strands. So being human, which kind of speaks to identity, inclusion, and care. Being in place, so that could be communication, community, and visibility. And then being, or beyond being, which is about non-human perspectives and maybe ecological futures. So really, it's to try and show how design relates to that theme from whatever your point of view is. And it's just really something to kind of to bring it all together, because otherwise everyone would just be on stage talking about whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a full list of, like, some ideas and topics online to check out. But The open call is on for the month, and at the end of the month we close, and then we let people.
Okay. So people have a limited window to think about, and if they're not sure, is it before they go through the process, is it okay to email you or
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah?
Yeah.
So how do they do that?
hello@bouncecreative.ie. Um,
Okay.
so if you want to reach out and say, look, I have this idea, let me know. And I don't, there's no format as well, so which is quite nice. So obviously there's
Oh,
screen and a clicker, so you can be like up there presenting. You can have a a two person presenting. You could request that it's a panel discussion, and maybe you want to lead it, but you have ideas on who might be on that panel. It might be a song, it might be interpretive dance, whatever. We, as I said, we had a performance at the end last year at Porrick Freeman, or sorry, in January, and he did an audio visual piece, which was fantastic, which really set the crowd alight. So it can be anything, it really can be anything that really makes sense. Yeah.
and makes sense meaning what? I can just see a load of people going, "This sounds great, but do I have anything to add?" What's
Well,
I mean, you say new voices. Do they have to be young, or can they be old ones like
I'm
me?
new but not young.
Okay, just checking. Because there is a perception out there that new means young, but I think there are a lot of older creatives who are quietly working away in the background with really interesting ideas who haven't got exposure.
I totally agree. And the intention is to uncover those people that are actually doing great work, but maybe haven't been on stage before. And as part of it, like I will coach whoever needs to get on stage, I'll coach you to get there if that's
Brilliant.
your issue. If you're not sure, or if you're just want to kind of spitball, absolutely fine too. But it's really about, well, what are you doing and what would you talk about if you were given an opportunity to speak to an audience? And that's really what it's about. It's as simple as that, because I do believe that a lot of people are doing really interesting things, but they kind of go, oh, that's probably not for me, and it probably is, to be honest. And we've
Yeah.
the same voices over and over again, and it's time for the new and a new kind
Mm.
of ideas and creativity, and to hear from voices that don't get the chance to be platformed. We're
Mm. And why do you think we're so poor generally as a country? We're so good at working and producing really interesting stuff. And there are a small handful of people who are good at talking about it. But generally speaking, there's a level of discomfort around talking on a stage. Why do you think that is? And is there anything people can do to overcome it?
I think designers like to talk about their work, but maybe not necessarily in that big kind of public.
Forum. Mm,
I think that's the beauty of Bounce, and the theatre that it's in this year is the same as last year in Trinity, and it is quite intimate, so it doesn't feel that imposing. I think designers are of all ilks are communicators. It's about
mm,
how to bring the story of your work to life. You do it in pitch, you do it in presentations, so
mm.
do it for your peers. I think how to get over the stage fright is just do it, feel the
Just
fear
do it.
anyway.
Yeah. So you're not looking for polished presenters.
Not at all. No. I mean, it would be great if were able to confidently present, but if you need support, absolutely, that's fine too, because again, it is back to how it's about the work and the process to get to the work that you're doing, or the thinking behind it, um,
Mm,
and being slick and polished. And certainly, presentations that have been given 100 times over are not really
mm.
on the agenda either, because
Okay.
you've seen them. You can probably see them on YouTube channels anyway.
Yeah, yeah, this is very true. Where do you where is collaboration? So you're pulling all of this together, but do you have a support network? Do you have people collaborating with you to pull this together, or how does it work?
Yeah, so I mean, as I mentioned there at the earlier, Language Studio have been great collaborators. They were the first strategic partner that jumped on board. To be fair, they did jump on board to help out, and I didn't give them much of an opportunity to say. But so it has been wonderful to work with them, because they've been able to go back and forth on different strategic kind of directions, and just to have someone to have there as a
Mm,
support. And then the guys in Hedgehogs versus Foxes, they just, Matthew there, he runs all the audio, the video, and the production, and he just, it's a dream, an absolute dream. His company, his agency is a dream to work with. They get it. They just get what you want to do, and you have these chats with them, and you think, okay, well, what will we do? And it's just like we just spitball lots of ideas. So having those people there have been just so fundamental to not feeling like you're doing this kind of, in isolation.
Yeah.
Um,
It
and
could
I
be lonely otherwise, couldn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And then
Mm,
like, like with the challenge, like again, the guys in the Playful City, they're
mm.
wonderful to deal with because they really have they have purpose at the top of their mind. They really want to make a change. And working with
Okay.
that is so invigorating because you're like, okay, we all want to do something good here, like, so it's actually really kind of, it's kind of, yeah, what would I
Good
say?
and tangible, which is what I'm loving about this. This isn't just another thought piece.
Yeah, exactly. It's not just it would be nice to have. It's like this is happening now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Would this be standing up on stage at Bounce? There's obviously a whole load of work that goes into that. And I'm sure, pretty sure Instagram doesn't do justice to it. Is it a phenomenal undertaking?
Um, it's a lot of planning. It's a lot of Excel spreadsheets. I kind of
Yeah.
lived Excel spreadsheets for a while.
Yeah. Mm.
There's a lot of time doing deep dives into I suppose what will work, the timing, what and what this person might kind of present and talk about. Because while you kind of get a
Mm.
maybe some of the kind of high points when people are saying they're going to talk about this, that, and the other, you don't know the full story of their presentation. So it's kind of like, oh, how will they end this? What will this be? And how will that work? And then just thinking about the functional things of when people arrive and get there, and then the breaks and the transitions, and will they be,
Gosh.
and then
So
it's a
are you an events manager now? Is that an events?
this is the thing. I never wanted to be an events manager or have an events company or
Yeah,
anything.
here we are.
Yeah, here we are. But it's kind of more about thinking about. I've been to so many design events myself, and thinking about, well, what did I love and what did I not love so much, and trying to kind of just remember the audience in the whole thing.
Yeah.
And that's really it. Yeah, that's what's not on Instagram.
Yeah. And is there anything, have you learned anything about yourself in the process that you didn't know?
Ooh, I think actually, I think I've learned that I really do value and love collaboration. I think like none of this
Mm,
was, there wasn't collaboration with the people that I've worked with, the friends, and I've dragged in so many friends, volunteers on
mm,
my as stage manager and everything. I've dragged them in to help me, and they've well done so, which has been fantastic. But I think I didn't realize that when you have a kind of fire in your belly to do something and you're excited and enthusiastic about it, that's kind of contagious, and people kind
yeah,
of with you. And I didn't realize that I was kind of good at that kind of piece.
that's cool.
It's been nice to see so many people kind of put their hand up and say, I want to help, I want to be involved in this. So that's been lovely to find out actually. Yeah.
Would you say you've had any major pinch me moments in your career, or is Bounce your proudest
Eh,
creation?
well, I've had lots of careers, I think. I think every decade I've kind of moved from design agency
Meet
and
your sister.
to higher education, and now bounce as well. So I think you kind of move along, but within each of them, there's probably been pinch me moments, and
Mm,
I think though for in relation to bounce, at the end of the day, I always remember at the end of the day, I went on stage and I was going through my thank yous and all that, and the overwhelm I felt when people came up to me and said, "This was so nice. This was just such a tonic. We really needed this. This has been
oh,
years. We really are appreciative of you doing this because we know it's a big slog to get this up and running, and
yeah.
we need this as a community. And we are so glad that someone did it. And fair play to you." And I think just that sense of we know it's been a hard
Sorry, I lost you there with a phone call coming through.
that, that people coming in and saying how lovely it was, at the end. That was great. Yeah.
That's it's nice to be appreciated, isn't it? Because you don't always know that in the dark nights when you're working in the middle of the night and you're on your boring spreadsheets and that it's actually all worth it. So what's next? You've got a call out. I've seen a lot of people have just joined us in the last couple of minutes, and I just love to leave on a reminder of what you're looking for to help bring some extra momentum to this movement, which it is really. What are you looking
So
for?
the open call is open until the end of this month, and then it closes. And they're the open call for speakers, and the speakers will speak on the 16th of January. And all the details and the application is online, and it's that you just have to look at the theme of being, which is online, and kind of come in with a proposal as to what you would talk about. So that's open at the moment, and so is the facilitators. So there's workshops that happen through the year, and then they happen the day before bounce as well.
And what's a facilitator role? What does that?
It depends on the type of workshop that you think you might want to deliver. So
Mm-hmm.
I had typographic workshops and AI workshops already. And it's about really kind of, if you have a workshop that you've delivered before or that you want to deliver again, or you want to put something together that you think might inspire the creative community, and it can be for whoever, any
Okay.
you can put the open call is there for that as well. So that's the two open calls that are live at the moment. So they're the most important ones. But the
Okay.
speakers is closing at the end of August. The one for the workshop facilitators is open for another few months. So
And
they're
the
the
date for the diary is the 16th of January, isn't it? I'm putting that
yeah,
in my diary because I
yeah.
missed it. I
You will.
missed this year. I will be there next year for sure. Thanks very much for your time. That is inspiring. Really, somebody who's gone and had a feeling in the pit of the stomach they weren't doing enough and is doing it now. So
Yeah,
best of luck to you. And fingers crossed you get loads of new responses to your call outs now.
that's great. Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks. Great fun. Cheers, Danielle. Bye.